I did not do my normal live on Sunday, so I'm just gonna drop a small little live out here for you guys. And if you've never been on any of my lives before, I talk about Buddhism and Dharma and meditation all the time. So that's what the basis of today's short live. I'm only going to be on here for a few minutes. And I think it will help a lot of you guys because I know not all of you, but a lot of people turn to YouTube Tarot because they want romantic love. And the thing about that is it does cause us suffering to want something that is external. And this is something that you can look up, Buddhism, suffering, desire, the eightfold path. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you doesn't necessarily have anything to do with tarot. I'm sharing it with you because it's really helped me to fall into gratefulness and to kind of come back to myself. And as far as love goes, these things come naturally when they're meant to. However, as RuPaul says, you can't love anyone else until you love yourself. So until you learn to love yourself, until you learn to give yourself that validation that you need, until you learn to accept gratefulness, there is going to be a lot of suffering. And of course, one of the first rules of Buddhism is that to be human is to suffer. So in any case, we will still experience some type of suffering. That's just what it is to be human. But it's good to remember that having these wants and these desires that's external from ourselves, it's just causing our ache. It's just causing our pain. It's causing us to break our own heart. And the more that we realize that external validation doesn't change your own experience in life, the more that you will be fulfilled within yourself. Come back to yourself. Come back to center. Come back to home. You guys, I don't have subscribers only mode on, so YouTube is going to monitor what you say in the chat. Okay? So anyway, for those of you who come to YouTube Tarot for love purposes, I advise for you guys to stop doing that. I know I do YouTube Tarot. That's what I do. But the thing is that it's not going to make you feel better to know what your ex is doing. It's not going to make you feel better to put your fate in the hands of a tarot reader. Because what happens when you go to a tarot reader is they can tell you anything, and then you'll start to believe it. And that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. That means that you can make these things happen with your mind. You have a lot more power in your life than a tarot reader. You don't need the tarot at all. The tarot is best used as a tool for self-development and self-improvement. 100%. The more that you put your efforts and attentions into yourself, where attention goes, energy flows. And you will be more desirable by default by putting all that love and validation into yourself. So I know that we live in a very hustle culture, in the States here, and you can talk to anyone who has achieved a lot of wealth and a lot of fame, and they can still be very unhappy because the emptiness is still there. You haven't given yourself that love. You haven't given yourself that fulfillment. You don't need to go outside yourself to fulfill those needs, wants, and desires. It's all within you. And I don't care if you, what your religion is, it doesn't really matter, because any religion is going to tell you that you have God within you, that you have source consciousness within you, that you have Buddha within you. It's all within you. And the heart, as we love from our heart, it's all in our head. It's all in our head. Our heart is in our head. We love with our mind. We hate with our mind. We feel loneliness from our mind. Okay? Get knowledgeable, you guys. Don't give your fate to the hands of another. It's all within you. We don't need to go outside of ourselves. We don't need to go collect a bunch of money, a bunch of phone numbers, a bunch of attention. That will give you a dopamine hit. But at the end of the day, you'll still feel that emptiness within, because you haven't come back to yourself. So, and this you can apply this to anything. If you're having a bad day, you can come home and sit with yourself and sit with those feelings and talk to source consciousness, your higher power, God, whatever you believe in. Hopefully you believe in something. If you don't believe in anything, then maybe you have a community out there, and you can even talk to your friends through your head, through your mind. Because even though I am a person who believes in science, and I don't like the woo-woo stuff, twin flames, I don't believe in twin flames. I think that's fantastical thinking. I think it's dangerous to think that way. I do believe that we can talk to each other with our minds. I fully believe in that, as woo-woo as it sounds. You can channel, you can send messages. So if you're having a bad day, if you're feeling lonely and unloved, if you're feeling heartbroken or emotional, come back to yourself. Come back to center. Sit with that feeling. It will pass. It will change. It's temporary. Everything is temporary. And you don't need another person to feel love. You can love thyself. It's very important. Yeah, and I highly recommend reading Thich Nhat Hanh, any of his books, but he has a book called How to Love, and it really talks about your relationship with yourself and not having attachment or clinging to others for your source of validation, for your source of happiness, for your source of love. It all comes from here. It all comes from the mind. The heart pumps the blood. That's all it does. And yes, it's good to have community. It's good to have platonic relationships. It's amazing to find your tribe. But that relationship with yourself, and that relationship that you have with your own suffering, because we all have it every day, doesn't go away, should be the number one most important relationship in your life. So come back to your center, come back to yourself. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing. If you're in your highest virtue, living for your highest self, fulfilling yourself from the inside out as best as you can, abstaining from what you know isn't good for you, not going out there and trying to numb by scrolling, doom scrolling, sugar, substances, going out, all that stuff is a numbing, and it is an escape. And it further accentuates the suffering, the emptiness, that feeling of desire. So we want to quell that. It doesn't necessarily go away, but you can sit with it. You can be the observer with it. You can be aware that you're having feelings of desire, all of that. And what humans, I think, in my opinion, truly desire is platonic connections, those genuine connections. And it can't always be gleaned from a romantic relationship. Some people are lucky and they have that, that solid, genuine partnership. But those who have these genuine, solid connections go inwards. They do the work, and they can control their desires and their urges. That's very important. It's very important to be able to self-regulate and to be able to withhold in certain manners and aspects, right? Because you lusting after someone, you desiring someone, that's a temptation of the flesh. And at the end of the day, if you allow your desires and your temptations to overwhelm you, to get the better of you, it will be your downfall, 100%. So it's important to be able to discern when you're being tempted, discern when you're having these lustful feelings of desire, and to discern when you're just feeling empty, when you're just feeling like you haven't had a need met, because you don't want to get yourself into a situation wherein you've let down your defenses, and now you're in a situationship, and now you're lusting after someone who you know isn't good for you. To have an indomitable will, to be able to have the self-control when you're feeling that desire. It's important because it will lead you to more suffering. And it's even especially more so important on those days when you feel super lonely, to not go on the dating apps and scroll, and to just deal with that within, or whatever you do to meet people. So hopefully that will help some of you guys out there. I know for me, learning about Buddhism, learning about how to tend to my own garden, so to speak, and how to quell the suffering, because the Buddha, the original Buddha, I think his name was Siddhartha, I'm not sure, actually said to, I know that it's not practical for us to practice this in this day and age, but he said that intimate relationships can be your downfall. And, we're not all trying to be monks. I'm not saying that it's bad to be intimate. I'm saying it's good to practice self-control and not to allow your desire to overwhelm you. Because we can't all be monks. We can't all be chaste out here. We can't all have chastity. Chastity is the highest form of vibration that you can get. Once you realize how powerful your chi energy is and how intertwined your energy becomes, once you give of that, you're not going to want to give of yourself so easily to desires, to temptation, to lust, because there is something in the spiritual community about energy entanglement and how long somebody's energy affects your chi and your energy, when even after you have been coital with them, their energy still affects yours for years and years and years after. You're going to want to be really, really, really careful who you allow in your energy field, because even if you don't live with them, That being in your energy field, even just that, it affects your thoughts, it affects your chi, it affects everything. And it can cause more suffering. And it can cause a lot more trauma than it is worth. So, practice these laws, practice discernment, and come back to yourself when you're feeling that. The loneliness, the desire, we always have source energy, we always have our guides, we always have telepathy, we always have that. You won't always have your peace of mind if you give of yourself to somebody else. And that can keep you out of a lot of sticky situations. That can keep you out of a lot of relationships that will waste your time, that will hurt you, that are just you acting out your trauma, if you have any. That's just you attaching, clinging to something because you have a desire or a need that you haven't met yourself. Okay, you guys, I'm going to get out of here. Yeah, and if you really, really want a tarot reading, I highly suggest you learn tarot on your own. Tarot really works best when you focus it on yourself. And it can really change your life because it's going to mirror exactly what you're thinking, exactly what you're feeling. If you're ready to see, if you're ready to receive the truth, because not a lot of people out there are ready to see the truth and make the changes that they need to change. It's not exciting. It's not glamorous. But it will lead to a better overall health and potentially a better relationship. Better relationships in general. Okay, I'm going to get out of here, you guys. I hope this elevated your consciousness in some type of way, shape, or form. I'll see y'all on the other side. Bye.